So I am Sophie, recruitment specialist in JK Network Services. So Mr. Rum, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to. We are very excited to know about your journey as a Korean bilingual, and I'm sure that our viewers right now are extremely curious how you learn the Korean language, and also how did you land a job and here in the Philippines. So Mr. Rom, before we proceed to our interview, is it okay to introduce yourself in Korean language?
오케이. 네, 안녕하세요. 저는 직장 다니면서 석사 공부를 하고 크리에이터 활동도 하고 있는 롬청하나 다스입니다. 저는 한국어를 배운 지 거의 6년이 되었는데 인생은 배우고 실행하는 과정이라서 저는 지금까지도 한국어를 열심히 공부하고 있어요. 네, 오늘 이렇게 만나서 반가워요. 잘 부탁드려요.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Mr. Rom. So, Mr. Rom, we will proceed now to our interview. So, so this is my first question, Mr. Rom. I would like to ask, how did you learn how did you learn to speak Korean language?
Yeah, it's actually quite a long process. The first time that I was introduced to the Korean language was when I was in college. In the university, I took a class, but it was just a basic class. Like I learned how to read and write Hangul, and we learned how to introduce ourselves or ask for directions. That was very basic, but I think majority of the learning process for me happened when I was in Korea, because I stayed in Korea for about 7 months. And 3 of those 7 months, I was spending time in a cram school for language. And I studied Korean every day for 8 hours for 3 months. And that was when my skills really improved a lot. And after that, I continued studying on my own.
Okay, understand po. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Rom. So just to confirm, you mentioned po, you have been in Korea for 7 months. So how was your experience naman po being in South Korea po?
Well, when I first went to South Korea, I wasn't very fluent yet. And the place that I stayed in was a place wherein not a lot of people spoke English. So I stayed in Daegu for 4 months, and then I stayed in Daejeon for 3 months. And in those areas, not a lot of people spoke English. So at first it was very difficult because I couldn't speak with anyone, but it was nice. It was a very good way of immersing myself into the culture of Korea. And it was nice because I also was able to experience the not 4 seasons. I was only able to experience 3 of the 4 seasons in Korea.
Yes, I understand. So, just a follow-up questions po, sir. So, how was naman po yung food po na, what is the first Korean food you tried po in Korea?
Okay, for the food, I was actually already introduced to Korean food even when I was in the Philippines. So I really like anything with kimchi, but when I stayed in Korea for 7 months, the first food that I tried, which really made an impact on me, was kamjatang. It's actually, you know kamjatang. Yeah, it's like a hangover soup. And yeah, it's really good. I really like it, and I'm already acquainted to spicy food, so I enjoyed it a lot.
Wow, it's really nice naman po. So just moving forward po, Mr. Rom, I would like to also know, since you stayed in Korea for 7 months, just to confirm po, what is your favorite spot? Favorite place po that you would have to come back and just in case.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's quite a hard question, but maybe I'd say Haeundae Beach in Busan.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we always see it in a lot of K-dramas and movies, and I've only been there twice, one during daytime and then one at night. And yeah, it's a really nice place, and a lot of tourists actually go there. And I just feel that, yeah, there's a connection between me and the sea, although I don't really swim.
Okay, Okay, so Mr. Rom, so I would like to also know. So I'm also curious right now. So, what made you interest to study Korean language?
Hmm. What made me interested in studying Korean language? Well, the first reason was because I met this kind of a mentor, and he wrote some books, and he was Korean. And during that time, I thought, oh, it would be nice if I also learned the Korean language so that I could consume his books. I mean, I could understand his books by reading them on my own rather than through a translator. So that was how it began. But of course, the purpose or the motivation for studying any language can change through time.
Yes po, I understand. And then, so we have a lot of languages po, Mr. Rom. So, I would like to know po why you choose to, enhance your Korean language po, so aside of other languages.
Mm. Well, yeah, it wasn't my intention to really improve my Korean skills, but it's just that when in 2016,
Mm-mm.
I had a chance to study in Korea,
Mm-mm.
and I was also doing research work in a laboratory.
Mm-mm.
And during that time, I thought since I'm already in Korea, why not study Korean further?
Mm-mm.
So it wasn't like I like purposefully decided, oh, I will improve on my Korean, but it was more like a coincidence.
Yes, po, I see. That's great to hear po. So, Mr. Ron, I'd like to also know what are the challenges that you are encounter in learning the Korean language?
Hmm. There's there actually has been a lot of challenges that I encountered in the past. One would be that there's not really a lot of chances for me to practice Korean, especially when I came back here to the Philippines, because none of my peers were interested in learning Korean. And although I had friends in Korea, well, they were all busy with their lives, so that was one challenge. Like I need language practice. I need to talk with someone so that I could improve on my skills. But luckily, there's actually a lot of right now. There's a lot of ways to overcome that challenge. Like there are a lot of apps wherein you can meet with different people and then practice speaking with them. And also another challenge that I encountered was with time,
Yeah.
because when I went back to the Philippines, I worked, and when we work, we don't really have a lot of time because we have to commute, we have to do our 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 jobs, so there wasn't a lot of time. But despite that, I tried my best to allot at least 15 to 30 minutes a day to continue studying Korean every single day.
Okay, I understand. So that is why you enhance your Korean language course. You pursue to enhance your Korean language course. Okay. So moving forward, Mr. Arong, I would like to also know what inspires you in learning the Korean language.
Well, right now, what inspires me to continue studying Korean is, well, because Korean has opened a lot of doors or even windows of opportunities for me. Like right now, I'm working in the finance industry and I'm using my Korean language skills. So that is one thing that I'm able to use it in my job and I'm able to earn money for it. At the same time, I'm able to explore more of the Korean culture, and I'm able to like consume Korean literature, consume Korean music, dramas, films, and I'm able to enjoy them at a different level as compared to in the past when I only relied mainly on subtitles. It's like the Korean language has like expanded my world in a way. You get what I mean?
Yes, yes. Okay, understand po, Mr. Ram. So, Mr. Ram, moving forward, I'd like to also know what is it important to you to encourage your youth to study foreign language?
Yeah. I do believe that Filipinos in general are actually very good with languages, especially because here in the Philippines, we already speak at least two languages when we study grade school, right? And maybe it's even more if we live in different provinces that has their own language. So that could already be three. And I believe somehow our brains are wired differently, and it's so much easier for us to acquire different languages. And yeah, I think it's important for the youth to continue expanding their world by learning languages, because like for me it has opened uh, doors of opportunities for me. So I believe it would be the same for them. And it's not only about opportunities for, I mean, for jobs or whatnot, but also their worldview can change. They can meet a lot of people. So yeah, they can expand their social network as well by learning languages.
Okay, that's great to hear, Mr. Rom. So, Mr. Rom, I would like to also ask, what are the advantages of being bilingual or speaker? I'm bilingual speaker to you.
Hmm. Well, for me, I get to like compare my perspective with someone of the same age but from a different culture. So I have right now I have friends in Korea, and we talk about politics, we talk about culture, we talk about different kinds of things and philosophies even. And somehow that helps me in improving my worldview. And yeah, I guess connection in a way is so important, connecting with more people and having deeper connection. And I think language is a big factor in building connection with other people. And so being bilingual is like, it's like magic. It's difficult to explain what it does to you, but it kind of changes you in a better way.
Yes, understand po, Mr. Rom. So, Mr. Rom, we have visited your channel for your YouTube channel, and aside
Wow,
of
thank you.
Aside of Korean language, you also speak of Spanish and Mandarin po. So, I would like to know po, how did you learn those languages? Languages.
Okay. Well, for Chinese, I didn't really study it a lot. I only studied it for about 2 months. But then I stopped after it because I felt like, oh, this is so difficult for me, and I cannot take the time to really put in the effort for studying that. So I still know the basics and stuff, like how to introduce myself and say a few phrases. But then for Spanish, I actually just started studying it again last year. So right now, I think I've already spent 5 or 6 months studying Spanish. And for Spanish, I'm using textbooks, and at the same time, I have a tutor. And for Spanish, it's so much easier for me to acquire the language, because as Filipinos, we actually already speak a lot of Spanish words, but we just don't know it. So when we encounter them in Spanish, this word, I didn't know that this word actually had a Spanish origin, something like that. So it's much easier. And I feel like if I continue, my Spanish skills will be the same level as my Korean skills really soon.
And how about the Mandarin, Mr. Rom?
Yeah, Mandarin is, I'm not sure if I'm gonna continue studying it, but because it's so interesting and I actually appreciate their literature as well. But what's stopping me from continuing studying Mandarin is the tones. It's difficult to remember the different tones and then the script. It's so hard. But right now, I'm actually just trying to correlate Korean to Mandarin, because a lot of Korean words are actually like they have Chinese origin. So if you learn the Hanja, somehow you'll learn Chinese in a way, but the pronunciation will still be different. But at least if you see some Chinese characters and then you know Korean, oh, I recognize this because I learned it in Korean,
Yes.
something like that.
Yes, I understand po, Sir Ram. So how does it feel that you have three languages you already know po? Like Korean, Spanish, and Mandarin po.
Well, yeah. I think I'm not very good in Mandarin, so I wouldn't consider it as one of the languages that I know. But Spanish and Korean, I feel that it's another advantage for me learning these languages, because I feel that my world has expanded even more. With Korean, it has expanded a bit, and now with Spanish, it's going to expand even more. And I feel more free talking to people in Latin America or in Europe for those people who speak Spanish. So that's exciting. And I'm also looking forward to using both of them in my life in general, not necessarily in a job.
Okay, understand. So I would like to also know, sir, do you have any languages Papa, that you want to learn in the future?
Okay. Well, in the past, I tried studying Japanese. I actually took one class of Japanese, and I also took one class of German and one class of French. I tried them back in college because I had a lot of time in college. I'm not sure if I'd like to pursue them again in the future, but maybe if I had unlimited time, why not? I'm going to study all those again and
Yes.
be fluent in them.
Understand. So, Mr. Rom, so I have also a question. So, I would like to ask, how did you know that there is an opportunities for bilingual speakers like?
The first time I learned about an opportunity for bilinguals was from my friends who work in the same industry. The industry for bilinguals. Because before I tried working as a Korean bilingual myself, I actually had a Thai friend.
Yes.
So she's a Thai native, and she's staying here in the Philippines. And I learned that she's working here as a bilingual, and that's when the idea first came to me.
Okay, okay. Since you mentioned po that you are currently working, you're using your Korean language skills at work. So, what is the advantage of being a Korean speaker?
Mm. Well, I guess the very top advantage is that you get to have language premium.
Yes.
On top of your basic salary, you get a language premium, and that's really helpful, I guess, in building up your financial capabilities.
Yes. Okay, understand po, Sir Rom. So thank you very much for Sir Rom. So let us proceed with Mr. Rom. So since you are a YouTuber, a podcaster, you nagpo-podcast ka po, and then at the same time, I also saw your YouTube po, you also sing din po, and then an actor sa So I would like to also ask po, Sir Rom, how was your experience of having a podcast?
First, I'll tell you that I'm actually mostly introverted. So I'm mostly introverted, but before I started the podcast, I thought, oh, I should speak more, because if I wouldn't speak more, then I wouldn't be able to practice my languages. So whether it's Filipino, English, Korean, I wouldn't be able to practice them if I don't speak. So at first, I just thought of recording myself and not uploading it anywhere. But then in 2020, when the pandemic began, I just thought that, oh, right now that I don't have to commute, I actually have more time to spend. And I thought, why not put that time in something that's productive? And so that's when I started doing a podcast. And initially, I just thought it's going to be for myself, just to practice. But then later on, I thought that, oh, if I'm going to do this anyway, there will be people listening to it, and I might as well do something that could help them. And so that's why I decided to do a podcast about Korean drama, and then a podcast that's an ASMR. It's Korean ASMR, and it's completely in Korean. And I thought that by doing that, I might inspire other people to improve their Korean language skills as well. They could practice listening to my Korean ASMR. Although my pronunciation is still somehow foreign, it's not like super native. Like when natives listen to it, they can recognize that, oh, he's a foreigner, but yeah, he can pronounce Korean words or Korean sentences really well. So I thought it's a way for me to give back to the community of people who has also helped me learn Korean, and also to inspire those who are still at the beginning stage that they can actually make it. They can improve to the point that they can do the same things that I'm doing.
Okay, so the reason why po you create a podcast po just to inspire the viewers po to study the language niyo po.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, that, and for me to practice.
Yes, po, I see po. So, keep on moving forward. I would like to also know, sir, how did you end up of being a blogger aside of podcast?
Yeah. Okay. Well, to be honest, I like writing better than doing podcast or showing myself on video. because yeah, I feel shy to show myself on video. But the reason I started a YouTube channel was because I thought it has more reach. Like it's easier for people to consume video than podcasts, because before 2020, I think not a lot of Filipinos were listening to podcasts,
Yes.
but more people are actually watching YouTube. And my channel is actually still very small. There's not a lot of subscribers, but I'm just also doing it for myself. I'm thinking that it's a way for me to record my experiences. So yeah, that's why I started doing a vlog. Although I don't really do like every week I'm uploading something. It's just when I have free time, because right now I'm actually also studying masters. So I'm juggling a lot of things. Like, yeah, I'm trying my best to do well at each one of them.
Okay, I see po, Mr. Rom. So, Mr. Rom, what is your motivation to make vlog content?
I guess it's for me to make records of memories. I want to like grow old and then look back at the past and see, oh, this was how I was like back in like 2000 and something. Yeah, that's one thing. And yeah, maybe also to add value to people who watch things on YouTube or listen to podcasts. Like, yeah, if they're gonna spend time on something, I want to like impart onto them something that they could learn from, or like at least something that they could relate, right?
Okay, I understand. So, just curious, sir, no? Can you give us a background? How did you end up being an actor as well?
Oh, actor. Well, I'm not really an actor. Like, you don't see me on TV or something, but well, I do like acting. I started doing acting back in high school. We did a play production in the province, and we had a lot of audiences. But apart from that, I rekindled my love for theater back in college before my final year, when I took an acting class. And then after college, I tried to audition for different kinds of things like indie films, but I didn't get any indie film roles. But I was able to join a theater festival called Short and Sweet back in 2015 or 16. I don't remember the year exactly. But that right now though, since we don't really do theater, like we can't go to theaters yet, we do online theater, and I'm actually part of an improv group. So improv theater is theater that doesn't have script or anything, any kinds of preparation. You just act on the spot. That's what I'm part of right now.
Okay, I see. Well, thank you very much for that, Mr. Rom. So, Mr. Rom, I would like to also know, did you have a target goal as a vlogger?
Oh, a target goal. Well, well, initially I thought that okay, I would try to upload videos maybe twice a month or something. I didn't really set a target goal when it comes to number of subscribers or anything. Just a target goal for how much I could produce and what kind of content I could create. But for last year, I didn't really do a lot of videos, as you can see. But this year, I'm trying to like make another goal on like maybe upload a video every month, something that could help other people as well. And I do covers from time to time just to practice singing.
So yes, we are visiting also your YouTube, and we also check that you're also doing cover of some songs po. Like the Christmas po, yung kay Jose Marichan.
Yeah.
And then okay, thank you so much for that. So I would like to ask sir, this is my last question. So can you still remember the very first vlog you have posted?
Oh. Alright, the very first vlog. The very first vlog that I posted is no longer on YouTube right now. I deleted it. No. It's still there, but it's not under my name. It's I think I sang a funny song. I'm ashamed of showing it to people right now. So yeah, I hope people don't find it.
I see po. Sir, this is our final questions na po. So, this is related to how you will be, I mean, what is your message for those viewers who want to learn the Korean language as you go? So, what are your learning tools that you can recommend to others in studying Korean language?
Okay. Yeah, so for the people who are watching this video and would like to learn the Korean language even more, there's actually a lot of free resources that you can use. For example, Talk to Me in Korean, I do believe that they still have a lot of free materials that they provide for learners. And also, Talk to Me in Korean also has a lot of podcasts that's available on different kinds of podcast streaming platforms. Those free resources are actually really good, although of course depending on your pace it could be slow or it could be too fast, so like you can check which works for you. And I didn't use the website howtostudykorean.com, but I know a lot of people learned using it, so I guess that could also help. And for those of you who like Korean dramas or Korean movies, if you're using Netflix or using YouTube, there's actually a Chrome extension called Language Reactor. That's really helpful because you can see the Korean subtitles at the same time the English subtitles, and or you can just select whatever you want. And that's actually also a very helpful language learning tool. And maybe if they also like, they can listen to my podcast, Kinka Podcast. It's about K-drama and language learning. Also my Korean ASMR podcast, although that's not really for beginners because it's in full Korean. But yeah, those things too. And what else? I guess there's really a lot, and you can also follow a lot of YouTubers. There's a lot of YouTubers, especially polyglots. Like they learn a lot of different language, and they also share about their language journey. There are even Filipino YouTubers that I know who shares about Korean language learning.
I see po. Thank you for that, Mr. Ron. So, can you share with us the strategies on how you learn the Korean language?
Okay, my strategy. My strategy is composed of three C's. Three C's. I got this from, I originally heard it from Ali Abdal. He's a YouTuber, medical YouTuber. And but he's not the first person who coined it. But anyway, the three C's are create, consume, and connect. Create, consume, connect. And what this means is, for create, it means you create something with the language that you're learning. So either you create by doing your homeworks or writing your diary or recording something on your phone, even if it's just for yourself. So you're creating something in relation to the language that you're learning. And then consume is, you consume. You consume K-dramas, you consume K-pop, you read books, consumption. And then connect, for me, connect is connecting with the people who speak the language, and at the same time connecting to the culture of the language. So you should not separate the language from the culture because they kind of go hand in hand. So that includes the food, the music, the history of the language. So I think those three help me a lot, and that's still what I am practicing right now. So three C's: create, consume, and connect.
Understand, Mr. So, Mr. Ram, by now, how would you encourage, I'm sorry, by now, how would you encourage the youth to study the foreign language during this pandemic?
Okay, during this pandemic, it's actually really hard to, just focus on anything because we're stressed by a lot of different kinds of factors. But if you have the headspace to actually still study despite what's going on in the world and in the Philippines, I suggest that you try not to study alone because it's very difficult to do everything on your own. So if you can find a group of people who have the same interests as you, then that would be good. Or if you can enroll in a class, I know the Korean Cultural Center actually offers free classes, but it's on raffle and it's hard to get it. But if people can get classes from there, get that so that you can be acquainted with people who share the same interest, because that is key. If if you go at it alone, it's okay if you're really so dedicated to studying the Korean language. But if it's difficult to do it on your own, then do it with other people. Then the journey will be less stressful, and there will always be people who will make you accountable for what you're studying. So it's more fun doing things together, I guess.
In case they want to watch your blog, so this is your time, Mr. Rock, to promote your blog with them and your other social media account. So that in case our viewers want to watch your blogs and want to hear your podcast, can you share with us your social media accounts?
Yes. So my YouTube channel is just Rome Juanaras. So that's my nickname, Rome Juanaras. So you can just search it on YouTube and my videos will appear, I guess. And then for my social media account, wait, let me cover my screen so you can see it. So those are my account handles for my IG. That's difficult because that's actually Handojun, but like the Korean Handojun, but I typed it in English characters, so JKSEHWN is one. And then I also have Kinka Podcast. And for Twitter, I have Romanadis and Kinka Podcast. So those are my social media accounts. You can follow me there. I try to share sometimes my thoughts about language learning or art or whatever. I'll try to be more helpful if you will follow me, because I'd be ashamed if I'm just sharing, stuff that's not helpful.
I understand, Mr. So thank you very much, Mr. Ron. I think that's all for today. So thank you very much for your time, for having interview with us. Really appreciate it for your time, your effort for today. So I'm very excited to post this to our YouTube blog. Of course, this will be a great help to our viewers din po that who wants to learn the Korean language po and want to land a job just like you po.
네, 초대해 주셔서 감사합니다.
Thank you very much, sir, for your
JK Network, JK Network, JK Network.